Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we will be doing an update to my Warden tank build for update 29 Flames of Ambition. I did change the sets on this build from what I used from the last patch. However, the old build does still work. If you like the old build and are wondering how to set up champion points for that build, we will be using the same CP that this current build is using. Now, for this time around, I really wanted to play to the strengths of the Warden class. In my opinion, the Warden class has the most amount of ways to buff the group within the class abilities than any other class in the current state of the game. This is the reason why I believe a lot of people like to play them as healers in the game, and just the fact that they are really fun to play as. The best part about all these buffs that Wardens have within the class, they are really strong buffs for building a tank. So for this particular tank, we are going to focus on buffing the group. Now, the buffs we are using on the build are designed to stay active for a longer duration. That way we don't need to spam skills and use a lot of our resources in order to buff the group. If you would like to learn how to set up this tank that is designed to be a buff monster, I will be going over the stats, skills, passives, gear, and CP needed to help you make this particular build. All of this will be coming up next. So we will be going over our character sheet. First, we're going to buff up our health. Our max magicka is sitting at 18,800. Max health is at 46,900, almost at 47k. Max stam is sitting at 23,500. Our recoveries can go up quite a bit higher by popping a potion and using our enchanted growth ability. Our magicka recovery can hit a maximum of 1,700, with health recovery at 1,500 and stam recovery also at 1,500. For resistances, we get the best of our resistance actually on our front bar. While popping expansive frost cloak, our spell resistance goes up to 32,400. Physical resistance at 31,600 on our front bar. Back bar, it just drops slightly lower, down to 31,300 on spell, physical at 30,000. For attributes here, I put 64 points into health. The reason that we put 64 points into health is because as a tank, your main job is to actually stay alive for the group. But there's also another reason. Several of the Warden's abilities actually are scaled off of max health. So the higher the health we have, the more damage or more healing done are some of the abilities can do. Now, if you think this is a lot of health and don't want this much health and are struggling with sustaining yourself with magicka and stam, then I recommend then taking some points from health here, putting it on magicka or stam. Just remember to keep stam higher than magicka, because stam is meant for blocking, and by keeping it higher, when we use synergies from other classes that are scaled off of giving us our highest resources, we always want stam back because that's going to allow us to block. For attributes or boons that we have, we are using the Lord just to increase our max health. Again, like I said, we're using higher health for scaling off of health abilities, but if you need more magicka, then I'd say use the magicka boom, or stam, use the stam boom. Or if you just want more recovery with magicka or stam. Now, I know some people are saying that my stam recovery is quite high at 1,500. For me, when I do my gameplay, I tend not to block a whole lot, so by not blocking, I'm actually keeping my stam recovery up and only key blocking like during like when a boss is doing a heavy attack, or using a power up or such, or knowing when a big hit's coming. If you know how to do this, then your stam recovery will be fine. But if you tend to block a lot, then yes, I'd probably say let's lower your stam recovery and probably boost your magicka recovery. Where to do this will be later in the build video under sets. So let's go over the skills. Starting on our front bar, and just to let you know, any skills that you use on this bar right here, you can put it in any order. So like our gripping shard here doesn't have to be the X button, it can be a right bumper, left bumper, B, or Y. It can be in any order. However, skills that are on this bar, you will need to probably keep it on this bar because there are reasons why they're on this bar, and we'll go over them later in the passives. But anywho, first ability we have is Down in the Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the second ability to unlock, starts off as Impaling Shard. We then morph it to Gripping Shard. When we use this ability in a 6-meter radius around us, this upon cast will immobilize any enemy in the area if they have not been already immobilized previously. This is a soft CC or soft crowd control ability, so this will stun them for 3 seconds, and it will also deal some 1500 frost damage to them every 1 second for the 12-second duration. The nice thing about this too is it has a second CC ability, which is reducing their movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds during the time when they are being hit by this. On top of it, this ability is the damage on this is based off of max health, so the higher the health, the more damage this will do. On top of it, it also has a higher chance to apply the chill status effect. Next ability we have is Down in the One Hand and Shield skill line. It is the second ability to unlock, starts off as a low slash, we then morph it to deep slash. This is an area of effect damage type that will deal 3,800 physical damage to enemies in this area of 6 meters. On top of it, when we hit all the enemies, it will also reduce their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. Now, the main reason we actually use this is to afflict them with minor main. This reduces their damage done by 5% for 12 seconds. Now, why is this important? By reducing their damage done, we also make ourselves a little bit more tankier because we can now take more damage from them. On top of it, we also help protect our DPSs as well, or healers from this, because they're not taking as much, so the healer doesn't have to work as hard to keep everyone alive as well. Next ability we have is Down into the Fighter's Guild skill line. It is the first ability to unlock, starts off as Silver Bolt. We then morph it to Silver Leash. This fires a down guard bolt that deals some damage up to like 3,000, and it ends up pulling the enemies at a distance to us up to 22 meters away from us. On top of it, when we pull them in, we also reduce their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds, so this is another soft CC ability. Now Nathan, why did you end up going with Silver Leash instead of the one in the Warden's class skill line, all the way up in the Winter's Embrace skill line, called Frozen Gate? The reason I went with Silver Leash over Frozen Gate is because Frozen Gate actually takes 1.5 seconds to actually arm it after you cast it. And by that time, for me, I tend to cast it after the fact that somebody was there and then they move out of the AoE or something like that. If you're good at timing this and can pull people in or pull enemies in with this, then I'd probably highly recommend this one, because when you pull them in, you'll actually can apply Major Maid, so reduce their damage done by 10%. If you can apply that with Center Deep Slash to reduce 5% more, to have a total of 15% damage reduction for a short period of time. But anyways, we're going to go over to our next ability, back down into the Fighter's Guild skill line. It is the second ability to unlock, starts off as Circle of Protection. We then morph it to Turn Evil. This will cast a 5 meter radius around us that will protect us and allies within it. While we're in it, we also gain minor protection and minor endurance. So minor protection is reducing the damage taken by 5%, and minor endurance is increasing our stamina recovery by 15%. Now, that's all nice and stuff, but the main reason we actually use this is our hard CC or hard crowd control ability here. Upon activating, enemies in the area are feared for 5 seconds. So this basically stops any enemies moving for 5 seconds. Kind of like immobilization, but this one's harder because it has a harder effect on enemies. Now, what I typically like to do in battle is I will typically run up to the group of ads that are melee fighters. I will cast Turn Evil down. After Turn Evil is cast, I will look for ranged targets and use my Silver Leash abilities to pull them all in within 4 seconds. Because on the 5th second duration, Turn Evil will be over on Fear. So on the 5th second, then I end up dropping Gripping Shards to hold enemies in place longer. Now, why is this important to hold them in place longer? By holding enemies in place longer, it actually gives us, our DPS, a chance to actually focus one area, especially if you can group them very good, or by grouping them with these abilities. So that way they're just focusing on one spot, so they're not jumping all over the place, putting AoE damage over here and then AoE damage over here and then have to run to this side to do single target damages and stuff like that. On top of it, during the time that enemies are immobilized by gripping shards here, I will then use deep slash, because since gripping shard is a soft CC, it can actually go with turn evil. So turn evil, then gripping shards. After you pull everybody in, you want to make sure to pull everybody in first before using gripping shards, because pull is actually a very hard CC ability too when you pull them in. The soft CC is a reduction to movement speed by 30%. So hard CC, and then soft CC to immobilize everybody in after we use turn evil, pull them in, gripping shards, then deep slash to reduce movement speed and reduce the damage they do to everybody else. Now, over into the next ability that we have is all the way back up into the one-handed shield skill line. It is the first ability to unlock, starts off as puncture. We then morph it to pierce armor. This we can end up piercing an enemy, dealing 2,500 physical damage. Now the main reason we actually want to use this is because this is our main taunt. This will tell enemies, hey you, look at me, come fight me for the next 15 seconds if somebody doesn't either taunt the person that you're taunting or over taunts them that they're focused on somebody else. However, in a format content, most likely you're going to be the only one taunting, but just be aware of things can happen. But now, why this morph or the other one? The reason we want to go this morph is because this inflicts minor breach and major breach. Minor breach reduces enemies' physical and spell resistance by about 3,000, while major is reducing it by about 6,000 for 15 seconds. Now, in PVE content, every enemy in dungeons have 18,200 physical and spell resistance. Why this is important by reducing their physical and spell is the lower you get that resistance number, the harder your DPS are going to hit, plus you or anybody else in your group are. So in total we got about 9,000 reduction, so we're about almost cutting their resistance in half. So this is why it's very important to use this as our main taunt ability, because you're going to allow everybody to hit harder with it. Now for the ultimate that we use on this bard, this is a flex spot, so you can use a couple of ultis if you so desire. I just happen to like the one that I'm on right now, which is in the green balance skill line. Starts off as Secluded Grove. We then morph it to Enchanted Forest. This we can cast out 28 meters with an 8 meter radius for a low cost of 90 ultimate for 6 seconds. This will instantly heal the most injured friendly target for 6,500 health. But then anybody else who are standing within it will be continued to heal for 2,100 health every 1 second for 6 seconds. Now, the nice part about this is if the initial heal, the first person we heal within that circle, is below 50% health, we will generate 20 ultimate from that. So this is why it's kind of nice to kind of gain a little bit ulti a little fast from this ability if you use it on a low health ally. Other ultis you can use here that I would recommend is from the Winter's Embrace skill line. This one starts off as Sleet Storm. You can use either or morph, because this one you'll cast a storm around you that lasts for 8 seconds that deals frost, about 2,700 frost damage once every 8 seconds, and enemies that are hit by this reduce their movement speed by 40%, so another soft C ability that we have here. But the nice thing about this one is you and nearby allies gain major protection, reducing damage taken by 10%. So you can stack this, like I said earlier, with Deep Slash to reduce damage taken by 5% with 10%, since major and minor can stack, for a total of 15% reduction. Now if you use Northern Storm, you can increase your max magicka after activating it, which you're going to increase your max magicka by 9%. I believe it's 10% after you have this all the way 10 out, or level 5 or level 4 out of 4 for 30 seconds. So that's a lot of magicka that you can use for abilities if you so desire. But probably Permafrost would probably be the better slottable for this one, just because this one reduces enemies movement speed by 70%, so you are really slowing them down a lot if you can apply all those other reduced movement speed bonuses on top of it. And on top of it, you can also apply the chill status effect on them as well. Another good option for an ulti here would be all the way down in the one-handed shield skill line. It starts off as Shield Wall. You can use either or morph either Shield Discipline or Spell Wall. Personally, I like Spell Wall better. And why do you say that, Nathan? The reason I say that is because for spell wall, that one actually allows you to block all attacks coming in, both melee and range. As you can see here on shield wall, it just says automatically block all attacks at no cost for 5 seconds. It doesn't say projectiles or range attacks, so it's only just meant for melee. Range attacks can still hit you. I've personally have seen spell wall actually bounce spells and projectiles back at enemies and do a little bit chunk of damage with it. Shield Discipline's nice if you want to just lower the cost of all your abilities within the one-handed shield skill line, but for 1,100 for a taunt and 2,500 for a deep slash, I don't think that's really too hefty of costs compared to some other abilities out in the game, and it has a nice low cost of 135 ultimate. Now going into our back bar, first ability that we have is up in the green balance skill line. First ability unlock, it starts off as fungal growth. We then morph it to enchanted growth. This is a cone target, so what a cone target means is from where you're standing out in a pie shape, pizza shape if you want to talk about it, or but basically a triangle shape from where you're standing going out 20 meters. So at 20 meters is your max angle of your pie or triangle or pizza, what you want to call it. That will heal you and allies for 4,800 health, which is quite a bit of health. Not as not as strong as like a healer level, but it's a nice heal. But the main reason we actually want to use this is because any target that we heal gains minor intellect and minor endurance, increasing their magicka and stamina recovery by 15% for 20 seconds. This is why my magicka and stamina recovery is actually quite high as a tank, is because of this ability here, along with potions that we use. So by doing this, you're also helping your DPS out with their recovery, so that way they can have higher recovery to cast more abilities as well. Next ability we have is in the Animal Companion skill line. It is the fourth ability to unlock. Starts off as Betty Netch. We morph it to Bull Netch. As you can see, this is a target to ourselves at no cost, so this is a free cast ability that lasts for 25 seconds, restoring about 5,000 stam. And on top of it, when we have this active, we grant ourselves major brutality and sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 20%. Yes, that's kind of a nice thing to help us out with a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be like a make or break on the build. But the main reason we actually want to use this is because for several reasons. One's in the passives, and the other one is here for every 5 seconds the net removes one negative effect from us on top of the stam that we get from it. So this is why we want to make sure to have Bull Netch on the build. Next ability we have is down in the Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the third ability to unlock. Starts off as Arctic Wind. We then morph it to Polar Wind. This is our self heal on the build, or kind of our oh snap we're gonna die, even though it's a heal over time. But the first initial heal on this build will actually give us 12,400 health, and then an additional 1,400 health every 1 second over 5 seconds. Now, the main reason we actually want to use this is because it'll heal ourselves. On top of it, it will actually heal another ally who's within 12 meters of us for that 12,400 health, which is a really big heal as a tank. And this is why I decided to go with this morph instead of the other morph. On top of it too, while the effect persists, so over the 6 seconds, any enemy caught within 6 meters, since it has a 6-meter radius, will deal about 900 frost damage to them every 1 second. And the nice thing about this is the healing on this ability is scaled off of our max health, so the higher the health, the stronger the heal would be. So just be aware if you put more points into magicka or stam, or if you change how much magicka and stam you have compared to what the health is on this build. Next ability we have is still in the Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the first ability to unlock. Starts off as Frost Cloak. We then morph it to Expansive Frost Cloak. This is a 28-meter radius for 20 seconds. We increase everybody's in the group's physical and spell resistance by about 6,000 for the 20th second. So this is kind of making everybody a lot more tankier. It is a really good ability to use for us because it's increasing our resistance to increase the amount of damage we can mitigate by a certain percentage. So you're also making your allies a lot easier for them to take a little bit more damage. Not like a tank, but still a little bit more damage. Next ability we have is all the way down into The Undaunted skill line, and his third ability to unlock starts off as Inner Fire. We then morph it to Inner Beast. This has a 28-meter range that deals 2,500 physical damage. But the main thing on this is a ranged taunt that taunts enemies to attack us for 15 seconds, like our Pierce Armor taunt. The nice on top of it, 2 enemies take 5% more damage from us when we use this, which is kind of nice. Like I said, not a game changer, but a little bit nice. Now, if you have a ranged ally who's targeting the same enemy that you have just taunted with this ranged taunt, they have a 50% chance to activate Radiate Synergy, dealing 5,300 magic damage to them over 3 seconds, and then an additional 5,300 magic damage to them and other nearby enemies. So the nice thing about the synergy here is allies who use it will go later in the passives, especially here in the Undaunted, will actually get a certain percentage of health back from activating a synergy. Either health, magic, and stamina they'll get back. This is why to also give your groups some synergy as well. Now for the ultimate on this one, we are going down into the Assault skill line. Starts off as Warhorn. We then morph it to Aggressive Warhorn. This has a 20-meter radius and lasting for 30 seconds. Yes, for a very high ulti, but very worth it because we will actually increase us and our group members max magic and max stam by 10% for 30 seconds, which is quite huge, giving them more resources to actually increase their DPS output, or make sure everybody has more resources to work with, even you as well. But the really nice thing about this for your DPS is you will give them major force, increasing their critical damage done by 20%. So they will tend to hit harder. If they got really good crit chance, they will hit a lot harder for the first 10 seconds. Just keep them in mind. When you call a Warhorn, it's the first 10 seconds of this ability. Now, let's go over the passives. We're going to go all the way to the top. So for the passives, I'm just, so you guys know, I'm not gonna go over every single passive here because I don't want to make this video too long. So just try to keep it simple, short, and some just key passives as we go through it. So starting with Animal Companion, we have Bond with Nature. This one allows our Bull Netch to be a heal after the ability ends or after we recast the ability. Savage Beast here, we gain 4 ultimate every 8 seconds when we cast any ability within the skill, this tree skill within this tree. Flourish here gives us 12% magic and stamina recovery when we have a Animal Companion ability slotted. Over in the green balance, a nice key passive here is all the way at the bottom with Maturation, which increases max health by 10% for 20 seconds after we use a heal ability, which can be anything. It doesn't have to be within the green balance skill line, so even our Polar Winds can actually proc this as well. So we're giving everybody more health, so this is why we want to make sure to get Maturation. Next, into the Winter's Embrace skill line, all the way down to Frozen Armor. This increases our physical and spell resistance by 500 for each Winter's Embrace ability slotted. We got 2 on this bar, and we have 1 on the other bar. Now for weapons, on the one-handed shield, since we are using one-handed shield on both sides, just key things to know about all these passives, that basically we have things from reduce the cost of the ability, reduce the cost of bash and movement speed when blocking, along with increasing the amount of damage done stuff, the amount of damage while blocking, and the amount of damage blocked from range attacks is all within these passives here, so you want to make sure to get that. Then into armor, starting with light armor. With all these passives here, light armor tends to give us more magic recovery, reduced cost to magic abilities, spell critical, spell penetration, along with other bonuses and penalties within the class. Just make sure there are penalties. In medium armor skill lines, medium armor gives us stam recovery, reduced cost of stam abilities, weapon critical, weapon damage, and other bonuses within the class. There are no penalties for wearing medium armor. For heavy armor here, when wearing any piece of heavy armor is where we tend to get our more resistances, we get health recovery, we get resources restored when we take damage, max health, along with other bonuses and penalties in the class within the skill. Just make sure you do get penalties while wearing heavy armor per piece. Fighters Guild passives, they pretty much give us a reduction cost to the abilities that we have. We also increase the weapon damage while we have them slotted, and we also gain ultimate whenever we kill enemies within the class. We can also do more damage as well to things when we use an ability that does damage. Mages Guild right there at Persuasive Will, that's just for questing purposes. In the Undaunted, we have Undaunted Command. Activating a synergy restores 4% of our max health, stam, and magicka. So whenever we use a synergy, we get 1,800 health, 941 stam, and 552 magicka. So whenever you have a synergy and can activate it, use it, because you're getting resources back and makes tanking a lot easier if you have synergies coming to you and can get resources back. Undaunted Metal increases our max health, stam, and magicka recovery, or our max health, stam, and magicka by 2% per type of armor worn. As you see, I have 6%, so that means I'm wearing at least one heavy, one medium, and one light. For the class, we are a Nord. I should say for race, we are a Nord. Now, other races that you can choose out there, very good choices, are Imperial. You also have Argonians. I mean, me personally, I would say any race can tank. Just keep in mind though, if you do change it to any race, your stats are going to look a little different compared to a Nord, because you don't get the same passives as the Nord. But for a Nord, we have Resistance to Frost, which increases our max health by 1,000, Frost Resistance by 4,600. Frost Resistance is okay, but the max health there definitely helps us survive as a tank, and it is a very important thing as a tank. Stalwart, this increases our max stam by 1,500. We will use this a lot for blocking, so it's very nice to actually have max stam within the race here. On top of it, when we take damage, we gain 5 ultimate, and this can occur once every 10 seconds, so we kind of build ulti. As you know, you can light attack, build ulti, now we can take damage and actually build ulti, so a very nice thing to cast ultimates a little bit quicker. Not as fast as some other classes or with some other setups, but still decent enough. With Rugged, this increases our physical and spell resistance, so that's why my resistance is quite high and very nice and pretty easy to hit cap there, because, or close to cap, is because of the Nord's passive Rugged here with 2,600. Most important passive in the game is found in Alchemy here. It's called Medicinal Use. When using a potion, results effects last 30% longer. So that what that means is, if you don't have Medicinal Use active here, or any of the passive points here, your potion effects last for 36 seconds. Your potion cooldown, world cooldown, is 45 seconds no matter what you use or things like that. When you use a potion cooldown is 45 seconds. So between 36 and 45, you are down 9 seconds of getting those buffs that the potion gives you. So get Medicinal Use so you have it lasts for 47 seconds for 100% uptime. Over in Provisioning, I got Gourmet because I am using a food buff, so this adds 20 minutes to the duration of that eaten food, so that way my food lasts longer, so I don't have to spend so much coin on or resources on making a ton of stuff. Especially if you want to make your own food, then use like Chef and Brewer. If you're making food, use Chef. If you're doing drinks, use Brewer, so that way you can actually make more of them. Now, if you're using a drink buff, I'd say use Connoisseur, because this will add 20 minutes to the duration of any consuming drink, so anything you use as a drink. Now, let's go into sets that we are wearing, or things that we are running, starting with slottable items. I am running Bewitched Sugar Skulls on this build as of just right now. If you watched earlier in my video when I was actually showing you how the build is, I was actually using Crown Fortified Meal, but Bewitched Sugar Skulls is the superior stat one here, because you get more max health, max stam, and max magicka with health recovery. Is a lot higher than Crown Fortified Meal. Ground fortified meal is just roughly below, down about like 200 for health, about 100 for max magic and stam, and with no health recovery. So if you want the superior food and can afford it, go be with sugar skulls. If you can't, ground fortified meal or tri-stat food works best. Or if you think you have a lot of health and just want to max out your stam and magicka, then I would say go with a blue food stat that just increases your magicka and stam. The potions that we are using crown tri restoration potions or tri-stat pots. This will restore 9,000 health, 7,500 magicka and stam, but the main reason is this will grant us major fortitude, major intellect, and major endurance, which increases our health, magicka, and stam recovery by 30%. or 47.3 seconds, and this is where medicinal use kicks in right there. Now, on our front bar for the sword, I am running Crusher Enchantment on it, on the front bar, just to reduce target's physical and spell resistance by about 700 for 5 seconds, because if this procs with when we use Pierce Armor, it just allows us to reduce the enemy's resistance a lot more. We do have defending on this. I'm not saying that you have to run defending. If you want to use, let's say, Infuse to have a higher Crusher Enchantment, go for that. Decisive is a really good trait as well. For that, will increase your ulti gen. Whenever you gain ulti, you have a certain percentage to gain an additional one ulti. There are a couple options there if you so desire and don't want defending. Now, Brands of the Imperium set for 2 pieces, this adds 1,100 max health. For 2 pieces and 3 pieces, for 4 pieces, it adds 4% healing taken. So more healing when someone heals, we take a lot more points there when we take a heal. Now, the 5-piece bonus is when we take damage, it grants us and our group members within 8 meters a damage shield that absorbs 10,800 damage for 6 seconds, and it can occur once every 12 seconds. So about a 6-second downtime from this, but however, I thought this was a better way to go about it by running this set compared to running a skill. And if those of you that don't know the skill that I'm talking about, well, it's all the way up into the Winter's Embrace skill line. It is the 4th ability here called Crystallized Shield. Now, why is Brands of the Imperium better? Because Brands of the Imperium is actually a damage shield, so it absorbs melee damage, ranged weapons like bows and arrows, and projectiles like magical spells. Crystallized Shield only blocks projectiles, so it only blocks bows, and it only blocks your spells for 66,000, almost 67,000 damage. Great, but even if you're going to say, well, you restore magicka, the restored magicka for 3 hits doesn't, even out with the amount of magicka cost. So I figured, why don't we just do a damage shield, because a damage shield can go to the group instead of us casting Crystal Shield. I found other skills to use that I found more helpful to the group than running Crystallized Shield. Now, for the shield, we are running Max Stam Enchantment with Infused Trade, and that's on both shields, with the Jorval Guidance set. 2 and 3 pieces add 124 Magicka recovery. That's why we have a really high Magicka recovery on the build. 4 piece adds 4% healing done, so when we end up healing, we're healing ourselves a little bit stronger. Now, the 5-piece bonus is, while in combat, increase the duration of all major buffs, minor buffs, and damage shields you applied to yourself and allies. Yes, damage shield. That does include Brands of the Imperium. So instead of a 6 seconds while we're in combat, when we take damage, a shield lasts for 6 seconds, it'll now run for 8.4 seconds, or basically 8 seconds to us and group members. So a lot longer duration on your damage shields there. Now, for other skills, I'll show you here what other skills by attacking the dummy here. So we got Enchanted Growth. Now will last for 28 seconds. Now, if you see the guy close to my Bewitched Sugar Skulls by 2 hours, that is our Minor Toughness. That will last now for 28 seconds as well. We also have Bull Netch, which will last for 25 seconds. The Bull Netch will appear for 25 seconds, but if you look right after my skulls with the Major Prophecy and Major Brutality, that will now last for 35 seconds roughly. If you're seeing 34, you got to remember you got to count the 0 at the end there, especially if you can see on my very end bars there. 1 0, see 0 shows. Now even major resolve now lasts for now 28 seconds, so you don't have to cast things as long. This, it also affects other skills too. If, let's get him up here. Let's see if I can get a war horn. Here we go, war horn. Now I'll show you how long the war horn lasts. If you see the fist lasts for about 14 seconds. My war horn lasts for about 42 seconds now. And that's giving us max magicka and max stam. So now my max magicka now sits at 20.6k, while my max stam now sits at 25.8k for 42 seconds. Whenever we cast a war horn, it can't be somebody else. I mean, somebody else, yes, it'll be up there, but our war horn lasts for 42 seconds because we cast it. Just keep that in mind. This is what Jorval Guidance does for us and our group. Now, for the backhand weapon, we are using the weakening enchantment just to reduce weapon damage and spell damage that the targets do, just to kind of help negate some damage for us and team members. And we have powered here. The reason I run power here is because I just want to increase that amount of healing that we do, just because we are running our oh snap we're gonna die heal on our back bar, so I want to make sure that's a little bit stronger of a heal with Jorval Guidance Shield on the back bar as well. Now for Monster Helm, we are running the Engine Guardian Vestige with max stam enchantment on the head with infused trait. Engine Guardian gives us 124 health recovery, so that's why our health recovery is also high, along with Bewitched Sugar Skulls. 2 pieces, when we use an ability, we have a 25% chance to summon a Dwemer automation that restores either 531 stam or 531 magicka or 2000 health to us every half second for 6 seconds, and can happen once every 10 seconds. So just kind of a nice little recovery thing to make sure our resources stay up. Now for the chest and legs, we are running the reinforced trait, while the feet, hands, waist, and shoulders are running the sturdy trait, just to keep that in mind. For the chest, we have max stam enchantment with Brands of the Imperium. Our head is heavy, chest is heavy because we are running a 5-1-1 ratio with 5 heavy, 1 light, 1 medium. The shoulder is medium with max magicka enchantment. Waist is light armor because it's Jorval's Guidance set with max magicka enchantment. Hands is Brands of the Imperium with max stam enchantment. Legs is max stam enchantment from Brands of the Imperium. Feet, Brands of the Imperium with max stam enchantment. Now on the jewelry, this will all be Jorval's to complete our 5-piece set on that, with the neck being magicka recovery enchantment with arcane trait, and then the rings are stam recovery with healthy trait on them, just to increase our health, and we want our stam a little bit higher because I don't tend to block as much. Now going over into champion points. Over into the green tree, this is kind of, as a tank, is kind of whatever you guys kind of prefer to put it as. I just like 40 into Guided Finger to get more gold. Fortune Favor for more gold found in treasures chest. Wanderer for way shrines. Break Fall, 50 points there to reduce damage taken from fall. 50 points in Steadfast Enchantment to not have my weapons decay. 50 points into Treasure Hunter just to have a better quality in chest. And 30 points into Rationer, just have 30 extra minutes on any eaten food or drinks, so basically have 3 hours on our foods or our food or drink buffs. And 75 points into Liquid Efficiency, just to 10% chance not to consume a potion. Now in the blue tree here, very important ones to have here that I feel are important, that I like to run on the build, is Bulk Worth as a slottable. Increase our physical and spell resistance by 1900 since we are wearing shields on both sides, both bars I should say. Unassignable, reduce the damage taken by 10%. Enduring Resolve, reduce the damage taken by 10%. This one is from Area of Effects. This one is damage over time, and Duelist Rebuff for 10% reduction to single target attacks. We have 10 into Stam here, but a lot of our points are actually found in here, with 20 points into Quick Recovery for more healing taken. Party for reduced damage taken from physical poison, disease, and bleed. 40 points into preparation to reduce damage taken from non-player attacks. Since we are PVE, we are going against non-players, so this is a very nice one to have. Elemental Aegis is reducing damage taken from magic flame frost and shock damage. Now over into the red tree. Very good one to get that I'd highly recommend to pretty much get right off the bat is fortification, because this is 6% block mitigation. So when you're blocking, you're reducing your damage taken by 6% with it. So, or the amount of damage you can block is 6% higher. So make sure to get this one. It's a very strong one to get. We got 2 points in, or 20 points into Tireless Guardian just to reduce the cost of block. I would say get your slottables here. After you get fortification, the next one I would probably get would be rejuvenation, just to increase our health, magic, and stamina recovery by 150. Ironclad gives us 1,700 more armor. Boundless Vitality gives us 1,400 health. That's why health is pretty high. Our other passive that we have slotted is Expert Evasion. Just our next roll dodge is free. Because as a tank, you tend to roll dodge or you can roll dodge to actually, if you're you can use a roll dodge to pretty much not get hit if you know that the mob or boss is going to do a really heavy hit and you can get the timing down. Then roll dodge is a very good tactic to use instead of taking the heavy hit and then have to heal, especially if you have your magicka resource very low. 45 into tumbling to reduce the cost of roll dodge after we use Expert Evasion. And then we got 40 points into Defiance to reduce the cost of break free after a stun or CC or crowd control. So there you have it for my Warden tank for the Flames of Ambition patch. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys would, please take a moment of your time and click that subscribe button here on YouTube. And if you really like the video, click that notification bell so that way you guys can stay up to date with this build or any other of my content that I put here on YouTube. If you want to, you can follow me over on Twitch. I do stream there pretty regularly, and I do take this build and other builds I do into dungeon, and we also test them out there live. Now, if you have any questions about the build or want to know more things about this, you can leave a comment down below, or you can message me over on Twitter. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in game or in the next one.